All right, so Thomas Jefferson has left office and his handpicked buddy has came in, James Madison. And James Madison, you should know him. This is the guy who was at the Constitutional Convention and he had that little notebook he kept, Madison's notebook, who told us everything that went down. This is the guy who studied all government since the beginning of time and basically single-handedly wrote the Constitution. Right? Yeah, he had a lot of help, it's true, but this is the guy that most of his ideas are still in there. And then, when we tried to ratify it, he helped write some of those papers, the Federalist Papers, trying to get the Anti-Federalists to agree to it. And he's also the guy who wrote the Bill of Rights to make all of them happy. Remember the 9th and 10th, those special ones that say if we didn't cover anything else, it's covered here? All right, this is all this guy. So, he's a big deal. So, he comes in office, and you would think that Thomas Jefferson would have left everything nice and orderly for him. No, not true. When he came in, yeah, Tripoli was already taken care of. That's great, but there's still that big war going on between England and France. Remember, TJ said, let's make an embargo where we don't trade with anyone, and let's ruin our economy. Well, now Madison has to come and clean up everything. So he comes in, the French and English are both stealing our ships. The English are still impressing our sailors, basically saying, you kind of look like you're English and you kind of sound like us, so we're just going to capture you and lie and say that you used to be English and make you work on our ships now in the military. So that's still going on. Not only that, we've had 2 treaties where they promised that they would leave our forts in the West. The Treaty of Paris after the Revolutionary War and Jay's Treaty, they promised they'd leave. They still haven't. So we're still worried about them. And while they're out there, you have people running around like Tecumseh saying, let's kill all the Americans that get in our way. And who are they supported by? The English, who have all the forts there. All right? So there are a lot of problems going on. And everyone's screeching about who they think we should go to war with. Everybody wants to fight. All right? You have these people called the War Hawks. And they are members of the Democratic-Republican Party who are screaming at the top of their lungs, like a hawk, hence the name, about war. War hawks. All right? The main 2 guys from the South that want this are Henry Clay and John C. Calhoun. Beautiful guy, isn't he? Woo. So these are the leaders of these people, and they're Democratic Republicans, same party as the president, James Madison, and you should know who they want to go to war with because they're buddies with the French. So they want to go to war with the English. I hope you knew that. So they want to declare war on England, and Madison's not good with pressure. So he just finally says, okay, I guess so. And that's how the War of 1812 started. So here's what I want to do. I want to go through the 3 areas of the war and why they're significant, the good and the bad. So in your notes, I would put 3 areas of the War of 1812. So the first one we're going to look at is the Great Lakes region.
I believe in miracles. You sexy thing, you. I believe in miracles.
So this is just north of Ohio and Michigan, around there in the lakes. And what's going on here is the British, who own Canada, are cutting off the lakes and cutting off our trade. This is one way that the backcountry farmers on the one side of the Appalachian Mountains on the west can get their goods to the east side. Well, if you cut off those lakes, the only way they can go now is down the Mississippi to New Orleans and go all the way around and go back up. So this is a big deal. Here's the good thing about this. You want to know this. Good thing about it is this helped lead us to the Industrial Revolution. Because now we can't trade with anyone else. We're going to have to build everything ourselves. So in a later unit, we're going to talk about the Industrial Revolution and the factory system and all these things that are going to come up. Partially because since we are cut off from the rest of the world, we have to rely on ourselves now. So that's going to be a good thing. The second area that the war is going to be fought in is the Chesapeake Bay area. So this is really the Atlantic Ocean, but specifically Chesapeake Bay. So this area is super important because this is where the British are going to invade and blockade us. So they're going to make it that we can't trade with any other part of the world because that's always a good way to fight a war, is to make sure your enemies can't get supplies from anyone else. And they're actually going to invade us. This will be the only time in history another country has successfully came into our country and attacked us. Never happened since. This is going to be good for us because our American Navy is going to show that we can actually stand up to the British now. Remember, John Adams, he is the guy to thank for this. He never gets credit, but he did do us a good favor there. So, that's the main thing about the Chesapeake Bay area. Now in the west, we're going to be fighting against the Native Americans, specifically Tecumseh, and he has a relative named the Prophet. And these two guys are going to be the leaders of the natives in the area. So our goal is to kill them. The benefit for us of defeating these people is we would open up all these western lands as settlers, and we wouldn't have to worry about the natives for a while until we take more of their land. So this is a pretty big goal for us. But remember, they have British support there because the British still have those forts in the west. So we're going to be fighting some British out here, but mostly Native Americans. So now we're going to go to the Chesapeake Bay and look at a specific event that happened there. There's a ship nicknamed Old Ironsides. The actual name is the U.S.S. Constitution. If you see something that says U.S.S., that means United States Ship, and that's what this is. It's one of our ships. Its hull was created in a way that was much stronger than previous ships. The type of wood, the multiple layers they use, and so when it was attacked, it just seemed like the cannonballs just bounced off the side. It almost seemed like it was made of iron, which it wasn't yet. So we nicknamed it Old Ironsides. So why is this boat important? It kind of shows that the United States is amazing. That's pretty much what it does. It shows, look what we can do. We're standing up to the greatest navy on the face of the earth, and they can't even destroy this ship. So it just makes us look good. Another major event that's going to happen in the Chesapeake Bay region is Washington, D.C. is actually going to get invaded. Not good. James Madison is actually in the area, and he actually leads the army fighting against the British. This is going to be the last time that a sitting president actually leads the military in battle, like on the front lines with them. And he is not a military guy. He can tell you anything about any government that's ever existed, but leading a military, not so good at it. So he gets beat, and they burn the Capitol building and basically destroy DC a little bit. And the only memorable thing that comes out of it is that Madison's wife gets the painting of George Washington, rips it off the wall, and runs out with it to make sure it doesn't get destroyed. That's our big thing. The last major thing that's going to happen in this area is in Baltimore, Maryland. We have a fort called Fort McHenry, and it's going to be bombarded. So all these British ships are going to line up and just start shooting at it and trying to destroy it. They have some new technology. These are actually rockets that you put on the boat, and they really look like fireworks. You light them, and they shoot off the side of this little boat, like a rowboat a lot of times, and they just shoot up in the air, and hopefully will go down and blow up inside the fort. They didn't usually do that. Usually they went up in the sky and blew up, and they looked pretty. And so there was a guy on a boat watching all this. He was like, wow, look at those rockets' red glare. Those bombs bursting in air. You know what it is? This was Francis Scott Key, and he just wrote down a little poem, and we now know it as the Star-Spangled Banner, because through the night they bombarded, but by the morning our flag was still there. So we get a theme song thanks to this battle. We actually win the battle, and it just shows that the British aren't going to be able to take us over that easily. But the important thing is we get the Star-Spangled Banner from Fort McHenry.